Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Dr. Eric Varellen. I am a naturopathic doctor, and today we are continuing the topic of toxemia as a cause of disease. We're going to start off with crises. According to the toxin philosophy, every so-called disease is a crisis of toxemia. This occurs because toxin has accumulated in the blood above the toleration point. The crisis, or so-called disease, has been precipitated as an extraordinary means of elimination. A need precipitated because the other overworked normal channels of elimination have been unable to handle the overload. Nature is endeavoring to rid the body of toxins. Any treatment which obstructs this effort at elimination complicates the problems and baffles nature in her self-healing efforts. Drugs, feeding, fear, and keeping at work are all among the factors which prevent elimination. A cold is driven into chronic catarrh. Flu may then enter the scene to help rid the body of toxicity. Then pneumonia may follow with possibly a fatal ending in elimination of the poisonous secretions is checked by drugs. The above illustrates what happens when cases are cured or ameliorated. But how different the story's ending is when the attending physician knows that every so-called disease is just a complex of symptoms which signify a crisis of toxemia, nature's house cleaning. For nature can succeed admirably if not interfered with vendors of poisons. Such efforts to destroy an imaginary entity lurking somewhere in the system only accomplishes two things. Both the vendor's profits and the patient's woes are mightily increased. People are so saturated with the idea that disease must be fought to a finish that they are not satisfied with sensible, conservative treatment. Something must be done even if they pay for it with their lives. And tens of thousands do just that every year. This willingness to die on the altar of medicine superstition is one reason why no real improvement is made in fundamental medical science. When people are ready for enlightenment, the knowledge and the means are ready for them. All diseases were once innocent. Cancer, tuberculosis, Bright's disease, and all chronic diseases were once innocent colds. They were ameliorated. They returned and were again ameliorated. This occurred again and again. Each reoccurrence was accompanied by greater enervation and a greater constitutional toleration for toxin poisoning. Greater quantities of mucus and submucous tissue were requisitioned by the body to assist in eliminating the toxin. Research is being carried on vigorously in an attempt to find the cause of disease, the conception of disease being that it is an entity. But in truth, so-called diseases are merely increasing symptoms, complexes due to the repeated crisis of toxemia. They have no independent existence. As soon as toxemia is controlled, the disease disappears, unless an organ has been forced by innumerable crises to degenerate. Even organic change, when the organ is not destroyed, will be overcome by changing the style of living and getting rid of the cause, crisis of toxemia. To find the cause of cancer, start with enervation, which is generally brought on by stress, junk foods, etc., toxemia, irritation, inflammation, ulceration, induration, and finally cancer. To seek the cause of cancer through consideration of the end product only is like looking for the cause of man, yet ignoring its embryonic life, conception, childhood, adolescence, and manhood. All symptoms of so-called disease have but one origin. All diseases are one. Unity in all things is nature's plan. The human body is a holistic entity and must be treated as such. The human body, we have the physical, the mental, and emotional, and even spiritual. Well, unfortunately, with medical science, we only look at the physical and the mental. That's it. The medical system pushes aside the emotional and the spiritual side of things. So you got two of the four of the human body. With naturopathy, like I said, we look at each person in a holistic way, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. Basic cause of all diseases. To clarify our understanding and make out thinking more precise, let us compare definitions. Standard dictionary definition reads toxin poisoning. Toxin. Any of a class of poisonous compounds of animal, bacterial, and vegetable origin and poisonous domain. On the other hand, a good definition of toxemia and crisis of toxemia might read, in the process of tissue building, there is cell building and cell destruction. The broken down tissue is toxic. In the healthy body, this toxic material is eliminated from the blood as fast as it is evolved. But when nerve energy is dissipated from any cause, the body becomes weakened or enervated. When the body is enervated, elimination is checked, meaning it's blocked. This in turn results in the retention of toxin in the blood, the condition which we speak of as toxemia. This state produces crisis, which is really nothing more than heroic or extraordinary efforts by the body to eliminate waste or toxin from the blood. It is this crisis which we term disease. Such accumulation of toxin, when once established, will continue until nerve energy has been restored to normal by removing the cause. So-called disease is nature's effort to eliminate toxins from the blood. Also called diseases are crises of toxemia. It is important to note that toxemia does not really occur until after poison has entered the bloodstream. In other words, toxemia results only when the normal eliminative function fails to carry off the toxic waste so as to maintain that balance which is required for health. Putrescent food results in ptomaine poisoning only when the eliminative functions fail to carry off the toxicity. Food or poison in the intestine is still on the outside of the body. A separating wound, ulcer, or chancre is on the outside of the body. If septic poisoning occurs, it will be because the waste products are not allowed to drain, to escape. Even vaccine fails to produce septic poisoning because its poison is discharged on the surface outside of the body. Occasionally, the waste products are forced to enter the bloodstream of faulty dressings. Then septic poisoning and death follow. The deadly germ. It should not be forgotten that unobstructed, free drainage from wounds, ulcers, canals, or ducts keeps them non-poisonous. The deadly germ on the hands, lips, drinking cups, hanging straps of streetcars, in fact, whenever found, is not deadly until it gets mixed up with man's deadly and filthy physical and mental habits. There are people who cannot be taught cleanliness. They either scrub their bodies raw or neglect them to the point of ripe fector. It is an art to wear clothes and maintain a status of cleanliness conducive to health. Venereal and skin diseases, including eruptive fevers, are fostered by clothes. The deadly germ must be mixed with retained pent-up waste products before it becomes metamorphosed into its deadly toxic state. The dog or other animal licks the germ from its wound. When the deadly germ is excreted into the mouth and from there into the stomach, it is digested and eliminated. The normal secretions of the body, both outside and inside, are more than enough to do away with all the deadly germs which fall to the lot of each person. Normal persons are deadly to all germs and to all parasites, which are peculiar to the human habitat. Normal people are equipped to handle the problems of life head-on. They have innate and built-in resources, which if exercised properly, will get them out of every difficult situation. Immunization and vicarious atonement are both cowardly dodges, a vain effort to avoid confronting the problem of life in a manly fashion. Were we to recognize, as we should, that our troubles are out of our own making, then we would not have wasted our time or stunt our growth by looking for some man or some vaccine which will absolve us from our sins. Truth exposes the germ fallacy. Self-control and knowledge and the limitations of privileges bring us to the best in life. Then, if we are content to live in one world at a time and to meet our problems as they come, we shall have the best preparation for the tomorrows. If we live well today, live for the health of mind and body, we need not worry about germs that may come tomorrow. They do not know that the fear which they inculcate is more to be dreaded than the object of their warning. Fear does 1,000 times more harm than any other one cause of toxemia. Nature goes her limit in the prevention of absorption of any and all poisons. The indurated wall, built at the base of the ulceration, is a conservative measure. It is to prevent absorption. In matters of prevention, nature sometimes goes too far and builds tumors and indurations so dense as to obstruct circulation. Then degeneration takes place with slow absorption of the septic matter. This poison takes place very insidiously. It is called cachexia, and among the names given to this pathology are syphilis, cancer, or tuberculosis. Germs as a cause. Germs as a cause of disease is a dying fallacy. The bacteriological dead march is on, and those with their ears to the ground can hear it. Intuition is forcing the active medical minds to fortify against its coming revulsion, and they are buckling on the armor of endocrinology. Endocrinology, focal infection, autogenous and synthetic remedies, vaccine and serum immunization are some of the high points of the science of medicine today. But there is a lack of fundamental unity to the system, and nature abhors chaos just as much as she does a vacuum. What more can be asked by any physician than a philosophy of cause that gives a perfect understanding of the origin for all so-called disease? To know cause supplies even laymen with a dependable method of correction and immunization which truly immunizes. Dependable knowledge is man's salvation. When this may be hard, for as little effort as is required for a thorough understanding of the philosophy of toxemia, there is little excuse for any man, be he layman or professional, to remain in ignorance. Toxin, the poisonous cause of toxemia, is a product of metabolism. It is constantly generated, but when nerve energy is normal, the toxin is eliminated as fast as it is produced. The body is strong or weak, as the cause may be, depending entirely upon whether the nerve energy is strong or weak. And it should be remembered that the function of the body are carried on well or badly according to the amount of nerve energy generated. The importance of nerve energy. Without nerve energy, the functions of the various organs of the body cannot be carried on. Secretions are necessary for preparing the building up material to take the place of worn-out tissue. The worn-out tissue must be removed, eliminated, from the blood as fast as it is formed, or it accumulates and the system is poisoned, for this is toxic. This is a most important source of enervation. Elimination of the waste products of tissue building is just as necessary as the building up process. These two important functions depend upon each other, and both depending upon the proper amount of nerve energy to do their job well. It behooves all people who would enjoy life and health to the full to understand how they may conserve their nerve energy, how they may learn to live conservatively and prudently. In this way, they will enjoy the greatest mental and physical efficiency and the longest life. Conservation of energy. Now that it has been pointed out that enervation is the source of the only disease, toxemia, to which mankind is heir, it is easy to understand why the so-called science of medicine, as currently practiced, actually causes enervation. As such, it builds disease rather than correcting or ameliorating man's sufferings. Every so-called cure, in its very nature, causes enervation. Even drugs used to relieve pain wind up by causing greater pain and sometimes killing. Drugs used to relieve cough in pneumonia sometimes prove fatal. Removing stones from the gallbladder does not remove cause, for more stones form. Rest from habits that enervate is the only way to give nature an opportunity for healing. Sleep and rest of body and mind are necessary if the energy level is to be maintained. Few people in active life rest enough. That is the end of the topic of toxemia as a cause of disease. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and give it a like. And if you want to see more videos on natural health, go ahead and hit that follow button. Our next video is on the law of cure, so look out for that video, and I will see you next time. And as always, stay healthy, everyone.